Get it. Okay, good morning, everyone. Shabbat Shalom, and good morning to those that are watching perhaps online. I'm Larry Marcus. The rabbi is out of town with his family, I believe, and we'll be back next week. So I'm up here because, obviously, because of the streaming. What? Can you hear me? Yeah, I'm pointing them toward me, hopefully. Can you hear me now? Good. Okay. Our service today will start on page 288 with an opening song. Modeh Ani, which I think everyone's familiar with. Please join me. 288. Modeh ani lefanecha, melech chai v'kayam, shechazorta b'nishmati v'chemla, rabba emunatecha. Okay, please turn back to page 287, and we'll do our usual readings. If you choose to pass, that's wonderful, fine, just pass it to the next person. Okay, Bruce, would you start us off responsively at the bottom of page 287?
Okay. We give thanks to you, O God, for this Shabbat day, which unites us as a community of faith and hope.
For the holiness of Shabbat, which can lead us to fulfill the best that is in us, we give thanks.
For the memories of Shabbat, enriched by generations of our people who observed it, and commit to courage to face hardship and light to banish darkness, we are grateful.
We offer thanks for the peace of Shabbat, the day consecrated to family love.
O God, our turning to you exalts our humanity. You are the joy of our life, the source of its greatness, its power, and its beauty.
Help us, O God, to find inspiration for the coming week. Help us to find peace within ourselves and one another. Thank you, Bruce. Okay, we turn ahead now to page 292. And Sarah, would you read the next one? The soul on 292.
The soul that has given me, O God, is pure. You created and formed it, praise it and commit, and within me you will sustain it. So long as I have breath, therefore, I will give thanks to you, my God and the God of all ages, source of all things, loving God and every human spirit.
Adonai Eloheinu Kol Chai V'Ruach Kol Basar Ish. Thank you, Sarah. And we come now to the Nisim B'Chol Yom, the miracles of the everyday life. And like to say personally that 2 beautiful Friday nights, a couple beautiful Saturdays. This time of year, you get it under 85, that's good. Okay, anyone want to report anything good? Any,
I still think it's a beautiful time to be back together again, and we're all looking at each other and feeling together.
yes. Go ahead.
The tornado passed us that we didn't get what other people got. We're back after that.
Yes, some people suffered greatly, we were spared. Anyone else? Okay, I would like to see, my wife is having cataract surgery. She had the first one this week, and she has the second one hopefully the week after next, if all goes well. So far, she said it's like a light turned on, but she still has to do the other eye, but that's a small miracle, a big miracle. Okay, so then we read at the top of 293 together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan sefti bina l'chavtin ben yom uvein laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, zokef kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, roka arts al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamechin mitzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, anoten le'av koach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamavir shnei mi'anai u'tenuma me'afapai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shesanei b'tzelem Elohim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shesanei ben chorin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shesanei Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ozer Yisrael b'gevurah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, oter Yisrael b'tifarah. And now the blessing for the study of Torah, which we will do in a few moments. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu la'asot b'divrei Torah. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to engage with words of Torah. We turn ahead now to page 298, and Goldie, would you lead us in These Are Things?
These are things that are limitless, as which a person enjoys the fruit of the world, while the principle remains for the world to come. They are honoring one's father and mother, and engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedded couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer and making peace among people, but the son of Torah accomplishes them all.
Thank you. We turn ahead now to page 302 for the opening prayer, Mizmor Shir. Mizmor Shir leyom haShabbat, tov ladot l'Adonai, uzamir l'simcha elyon, uzamir l'simcha elyon. which leads us into the Ashrei on page 303. And Michael, would you lead us responsively, please?
Happy are those who dwell in your house, may forever praise you. Happy
305, sorry.
David's song of praise. I will extol you, my God and Sovereign, and bless your name forever and ever. Every day.
Yes, you, and praise your name forever and ever.
Great is Adonai, and much should claim. God's greatness cannot be fathomed.
And teach the God that works to another, and declare your mighty acts.
The glorious majesty of your splendor and your wondrous acts I will recite.
They shall talk of the might of your awesome deeds, and I will recount your greatness.
They celebrate your abundant goodness and sing joyously of your beneficence.
Adonai is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger, abounding in kindness.
Adonai is good to all, and God's mercy is upon all godly.
Your works will praise you, Adonai, and your faithful ones shall bless you.
They shall talk of the majesty of your sovereignty, and speak of your might.
To make God's mighty acts known among mortals, and the majestic glory of your sovereignty.
Your sovereignty is eternal. Your dominion is for all generations.
Adonai supports all who stumble, and makes all who are bent straight stand straight.
The eyes of all look to you expectantly, and you give them their food when it is due.
You give it open-handedly, feeding every creature to its heart's content.
Adonai is beneficent in all ways, and faithful in all works.
Adonai is near to all who call upon God with sincerity.
Adonai fulfills the wishes of those who fear God. Adonai hears their cry and delivers them.
Adonai watches over all who love God, but all the wicked God will destroy.
My mouth shall utter the praise of Adonai, and my feet shall bless God's holy name forever and ever.
We will bless God now and always. Hallelujah. אנחנו נברך יה מעתה ועד עולם. Hallelujah. Okay, page 308. And the next reader, Hal, would you take us at the bottom of 308 into 309?
Even if our mouth were full of song as the sea, and our tongue full of joy in countless ways, and our lips full of praise as wide as the skies expanse, and were our eyes to give off light like sun and moon, if our hands were spread out like heaven's eagles, and our feet swift like young deer, we could never thank you adequately, Adonai, our God and God of our ancestors, or bless your name for 1,000 of the many thousands, or tens of thousands, the countless times that you granted good things to our ancestors and to us.
Thank you. We turn ahead now to page 312, and please rise for the Reader's Kaddish. Yitkada v'yitkada shemei rabba Yalma divrecha chirutev yamlech machusei V'cha yechon uvyom echon Uvkayerecho bet Yisrael Bagala bagala uvizman karib Imeru Amen Yeheshmei Rabba Mevarach Li'olam olamei olamaya Yitbarach Yitbarach v'yishtabach Yisbar Yisramam Yisnaseh V'yisadar V'yisaleh V'yisalal Shmei Kodesh Abrichu Leila min kol verchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran bi'olama Imeru, Amen. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Orechu et Adonai, Hamivorach, Hamivorach, Baruch Adonai, Hamivorach, Le'olam, Le'olam Vaed. Praise Adonai, to whom our praise is due. Praise Adonai, to whom our praise is due. Praise Adonai, to whom our praise is due, now and forever. Turn ahead now, please, to page 317, and we read responsively together at the middle of the page. O God, inspiration and guide for all, you have spoken in 1,000 tongues for us to hear. In every land, every age, your children have heard you and imagined you in separate ways. And yet, O God, you are one, unifier of humanity. May the teachings of our ancestors live on in our minds and their passion for righteousness in our lives. Help us to live so that our daily conduct reveals the beauty and wisdom of your truth. Baruch atah Adonai, habacher ba'amo Yisrael, ba'ahava. And that leads us into the Shema on page 318. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kivod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated. Join together in the V'ahavta, top of 319. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol miyadecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavacha Hayam alevavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'dibarta paham, v'shivtecha b'veitecha, uv'lechtecha v'aderech, uv'shachbecha uv'kumecha, uv'shartam liyot al yadecha, v'hayu l'totafot b'neinecha, uv'taptam, Amazot betecha uvisharecha leman tizkaru vasitem et kol mitzvotai yitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem mieretz Mitzrayim liot lachem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem. Okay, move ahead now to page, next reader. Let's see, I guess Ivan on page 321.
Sing the song of men and women, join in understanding and respect, the song of God's earth, an earth protected and cherished. It gives birth to
you. We turn ahead now to the Michamelcha, the Song of Our Freedom, on page 322. Please join with me. Michamelcha, B'elim Adonai, Michamelcha, Nedar B'Kodesh, Norati Lok, O Sefele, Shira Chadasha, Shibu Gelulim, L'Simchat Asvarayam, Yachad Kulam, Hodu, V'yim Lichu V'yamru, Adonai Yimloch, Le'olam Va'ed. Sur Yisrael, Kuma B'Ezrat Yisrael, Ufedek Mecha Yehuda B'Yisrael, Golenu Adonai Tzevot Shemo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch Atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. That leads us into our tefillah, our prayer. Please rise, page 323. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufiya gitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevi Gula Livnei B'neihem, L'man Shemo B'Yava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Li'olam Adonai, Mekayeh HaKol Atah Rav Loshia, Morid Hatal, Mekachel Chayim B'Chesed, Mekayeh HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Rofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umkayim Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Givurot, Umida Melech, Melech Memit, Umachayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Atal HaChayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol. Nikadesh et Shimcha ba'olam, Kishem Shemak Teshim Oto B'Shmei Maram, Kakatuv al Yad Nevi'echa, V'kara Zezel Yamar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzivot, Melo kol haaretz, Kivlodo, Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonenu, Madir, Shimcho, Bechol haaretz, Baruch Kivod Adonai, Mimkomo. Echadu Eloheinu, Hu Avinu Malkeinu, Hu Moshienu, V'hu Yashmienu, Berachamav Li'enei Kochai, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Imloch Adonai Leolam, Elohai Zion, Ledor Vador, Hallelujah. Ledor Vador Nagid God Lecha, Lenetzach Netzachim L'Kudusha Nakdish, V'shib Kacha Lehenu, Mipinu Lo Yamush, Leolam Vaed, Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. Okay, we move ahead now to our song, song of delight and joy for Shabbat, Yismechu. Please join with me at the top of page 329. Yismechu v'malachutacha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachutacha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, v'korei oneg Shabbat. Am Mekadesh Shavi Shabbat, Kulam Yishlu V'Tangu Mitu V'Cha Shabbat, Yismechu V'Malachutacha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, V'Korei Oneg Shabbat, Yismechu V'Malachutacha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, V'Korei Oneg Shabbat, V'Hasvi, V'Tzita B'V'Kedashta Shabbat, Chemdat Yamim, Oto Karata Shabbat, Yismechu V'Malachutacha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, V'Korei Oneg Shabbat, Yismechu V'Malachutacha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, V'Korei Oneg Shabbat, Zecher L'Maseh, L'Maseh Bereshit Shabbat, Yismechu V'Malachutacha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, V'Korei Oneg Shabbat, Yismechu V'Malachutacha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, V'Korei Oneg Shabbat. Okay, the bottom of page 329, the next reader, please, the meaning of Shabbat.
The meaning of Shabbat to celebrate God rather than space. 6 days a week we realize the tyranny of things of space. On Shabbat we try to become attuned to holiness in God. It is a day on which we are called upon to share in what is eternal, to turn from the result of creation to the mystery of creation, from the world of creation to the creation of the world.
Baruch Atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Thank you. We turn ahead now. And the next reader, read us responsively on page 332 for our gift of thanksgiving.
For the expanded grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filled us with awe and challenging our imagination. The planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons,
Modim Anachnu Lach.
the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and its achievements,
Anachnu Lach.
our human community, our common past and future hope, our wonders transcending world separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice, for the midst of hostility and oppression.
V'im anachnu lach.
for high hopes and noble causes, for faith and death and baptism, for understanding the things not shared,
Anachnu lach.
for all who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so that others might live in dignity and freedom,
V'im anachnu lach.
for human liberties and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose.
V'im anachnu lach.
We pray that we may live not by our fears but by our hopes, not by our words but by our deeds.
Adonai hatov simcha l'cha na'eh lahodot. Thank you, Shirley. We turn ahead now to page 334 for the song, as the rabbi says, a song of peace. And may the world grow each day closer to peace and well-being. Goldie, would you help lead us?
Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Chaim v'chesed v'rachamim. Chaim v'chesed v'rachamim. V'rachamim. Sim shalom. Tova uvracha. Sim shalom. Tova uvracha. Aleinu, Eyal Kol Yisrael. Aleinu, Eyal Kol Yisrael. Amrocha, Sim Shalom, Tova Uvracha. Sim Shalom, Tova Uvracha.
Thank you, Goldie. Turn ahead now for a moment of personal prayer or silent meditation, followed by Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom Bimroma, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu, V'yal Kol Yisrael, Imru, Imru, Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, V'yal Kol Yisrael. Imru, Amen. We move ahead now to our Torah service, which can be found on page 364. 364. Please rise. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah. Udavar Adonai Merushalayim. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Li'amo Yisrael B'kedushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Gadol Shemo, Gadol Adonai Iti, Unaram Elo Shemo Yaakov. On the chair. Please be seated. So Rabbi tells us we're in the book of Deuteronomy, number 5, as he said. And we have a special person leading us in the Torah section, our Honorable Mr. Ivan Rudolph. Okay. Now, the blessing before this reading of Torah be found on page 368. 368. Please join. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvarach. Baruch Adonai hamvarach li'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. Natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten Torah.
Amen.
Tell them where you're reading.
Oh, we are on. Sorry about that. Probably somebody. Page 1387 in the Plow commentary, and it's the first verse, Aleph. And if you can't count in Hebrew, you should read the Torah more often, or you would have to find the verse. 1387, 1387. And if I'm hesitant, I'm only reading the sentence ahead of me so that I can get the sense. So don't worry, I didn't forget. Kol ha-mitzvot asher anochi mitzavcha hayom tishmerun la'asot lema'an tichyun urevitem uvatem vayirishtem adon ha'eretz asher nishba Adonai la'avotechem. V'zacharta et kol V'zacharta et kol haderech asher holichecha Adonai Elecha Elohecha Adonai Elohecha Zeh Arbanim Shana Bamidbor Lima'an Ve'anet Antecha Velasotecha Ledat et asher dovecha hatishmor mitzvotov imlo vayanecho Vayiriviecho, Vayachilcho, et Haman, asher lo Yodea, velo Yadun, Avotechem, Lima'an, Hodiacho, Ki, lo, et halechem levado yechyeh ha'adam ki al kol mitzvot mitzah pi Adonai yechyeh adam. I missed a line. Ki lo al halechem levado yichyeh ha'adam ki al kol motzah pi Adonai vayichyeh ha'adam simlich pitcha et balta me'alecha v'raglecha lo Vatzeka Zeh Arbanim Shana Vayodata Im Livavecha Ki Ka'asher Yaser Ish et Bino Adonai Elohecha Miyasrecha Vishomartom et mitzvot Adonai Elohecha Lalechet b'derachav uliyira oto ki Adonai Elohecha mitzecha el eretz hatova. I'm going to start again. Ki Adonai Elohecha miviecha al eretz tova eretz nochal mayim ayanot utechomot yitzim babika uvahar eretz hito useura begefen uteena uremon eretz zayd shemen v'davash eretz asher lo b'miskenut tachal ba lechem lo tichsor kol ba eretz asher avonecho barzel umeheroreha tachsov nechoshet v'yachalta usivata uverachta et Adonai Elohecha al haaretz hatova asher notan lach Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher notan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'socheinu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. You want me to just put the band around so it doesn't? I will try and extract the parashah.
Okay, please rise. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei b'nei Yisrael al pi Adonai v'yad Moshe al Devarim al Shlosha Devarim al Shlosha Devarim ha'olam omeid al haTorah v'al ha'avodah v'al gemilut hasadim al haTorah v'al ha'avodah v'al gemilut hasadim Shlosha devarim al shlosha devarim ha'olam omeid al haTorah v'al ha'avodah v'al gemilut hasadim al haTorah v'al ha'avodah v'al gemilut hasadim. Please be seated.
Okay. The parashah Akev, which we were in the middle of and with my reading, is the third in the book of Deuteronomy. You remember Moses is giving a long lecture to the Jewish people. And he starts with a recapitulation of all the tribulation and how he brought them out of Egypt in Devarim. And then he starts with how he saved them each time and what they are to observe all these rules and regulations. And that's in the previous parashah. We did that last week with the Shema and the Ten Commandments and so forth. This is what you're to observe. And now is the sales talk. You got to listen. You got to observe. He's going to destroy all the nations in the land of Canaan. They shouldn't worry about losing a battle. God's with them. You're not to covet the gold or the silver booty that you get from your conquests. It is anathema to God. You don't touch it. It's bad news. And now we come to my little segment. They spent 40 years in the desert to teach them, to show them that man cannot live by bread alone. And it was right in there. I didn't want to stop because I would foul myself up. But man cannot live by bread alone, but by commandments which emanate from the lips or the mouth of God does man live. And we can bring that up for discussion. It's a very good sentence to go by so you can think about it. So you can think about it. Sorry, thank you. In this new land of plenty, you're grateful to God for all the trials and tribulations, but now you have all the food you want, all the livestock you want, everything you want, and you're going to forget the presence of God. You are not to forget, just because you're in the midst of good and plenty. God has been angry at them for 40 years. They are a stiff-necked people. Every time he leads them on the right path, they go on the wrong path. And he goes on with the story. Moses tells them, you remember, I went up in the mountains, fasted for 40 days, came down, and here's this golden calf. And God was furious with them. He wanted to destroy all the people, the whole people of Israel. And Moses pleaded with him, you remember all this, that if you don't get us to the land of Canaan, the people around us in the world won't believe you're that powerful, that you couldn't do it. So please, God, save this people and get us there. And it seemed to help. Of course, God wrote 2 more tablets. Moses had to go up and fast another 40 days. And then came Aaron's death because he could not reach the promised land, having done this disastrous event with the golden calf. He mentions the Levites are to serve God, and that is their portion. They're not to inherit land like other nations. And this is a famous, what is God asking of you? Fear him, follow all his ways, love him, and serve him. They went down to Egypt, 70 people, you remember, and came back a nation over 600,000, whatever it was, just multiplied by dozens and dozens and by hundreds and by thousands. Canaan is like no other land because God will ensure that it will be fruitful, and if you follow other gods, all of a sudden he's going to cut off the rain and the land will perish and they will perish. Set these words on your heart and on your soul. Bind them on your hand, apropos of the Shema. Bind them on your hand, between your eyes, and teach them to your children. And the last part of the section I thought was interesting. He tells them that their land will extend from the Lebanon to the Bamidbar, to the desert, and from the Euphrates, mid-Jordan, to the Great Sea, to the Mediterranean. That's a big piece of land. They sure don't have that now. So, with all these facts to recapitulate their history and to urge them to follow his judgment, I pulled out 2 things which are worthy of discussion. One is man shall not live by bread alone, and we can open that up. And the other were the words that I finished my parashah, my reading with. V'ochalta, v'sivata, uverachta, Adonai Eloheinu, al ha'eretz ha'tovah, for that you shall eat, v'yasata, you shall be satisfied, you shall be filled, and you should bless the God who gave you this good land that you're living upon. So those 2, and that's right in the Birkat HaMazon at the end of the meal. We say that every day, so to speak. To imitate Rabbi David, so where shall we go with this? Did you discuss man shall not live by bread alone?
It seems like we've gone way past
thank you.
Happiness and pleasure again. Happiness and pleasure are not the same. Happiness is longer lasting, pleasure requires something that's immediate, and then the next time you go to that pleasure, because of what happens in your brain, you need a level up. And this is what causes addictions, whether it be technical stuff, or drugs, or sugar, or whatever. But happiness will stay with you where pleasure won't.
I think what I got out of that was not necessarily bread and water, but it's if you trust me, that food is related to, you know, that's what is providing us with pleasure and whatever one says. If we follow this command as we said all, then that's where you can get good dreams and be satisfied. Not necessarily bread, but it's everything.
You know, we've broadened the phrases, and I agree with all of you. But I just go back to the Torah text, and what it says is he made them hungry, and he gave them manna, which they did not know and their fathers did not know. In other words, at that point, they didn't know whether they had any food at all. But through the trust in God, through necessity, they found out they were sustained with the manna. So, if you don't have bread in front of you, there are other ways to be nourished. And what you have to do is believe in God and all his commandments. So, taking the literal translation out of the Chumash is a very smaller view. He tested them to know whether they would follow his laws or not. Shimartem et mitzvot imlo, or not, whether they were going to follow those laws or not. But the same way, he presented them with a way to survive. They trusted him, they survived. Now we take a much broader view, and I agree. You know, you just don't have much of a life without some kind of other thinking. You must turn elsewhere. The Adam, the soul of man is nourished by ideas. The world progresses with ideas, and it's not just providing for your shirt on your back and the food on your plate. And that's what we think about today, I guess. But anybody else have any comments? I've had a lot of time to think about it. I tell you, I said I wasn't going to mention it, and it's coming out, but those poor people in the Holocaust, they believed, they waited, they trusted, didn't happen. You have to have, I don't know what you have to do to believe and trust forever and ever, and to follow all the commandments as we're ordered to do. As I've said many times here, it's very difficult to be Jewish. It's not easy. You've got a lot of decisions and a lot of thinking to do. Yeah.
Okay. Then we'll begin with the return of the Torah to the Ark on page 374. Please rise. Israel, Shalom. Hashivenu Adonai. Elecha v'noshuva. Harish, Harish Yomenu. Harish Yomenu Kekedem. We move ahead on page 586, and please join me in Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, atet gedula liyatzeh reshit, shelo asanu kagaye haratzot, v'lo hasamanu kemitzvachot harama, lo sam kalkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu keko amonam, v'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech, malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'ne'emar, v'haya Adonai, the melech al koretz, Bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, Ushemo echad. Please be seated. And before we move on to the Mourner's Kaddish, we need to remember those who are either ill or in some type of difficulty today. We remember them, we pray for their recovery. In today's Misha Berach, we remember Ileana Cohn, Rick Ulrich, Lynn Romsberg, Jerry Dreskin, Ann Marsden, Steve Trombecki, Sarah Oken, Gary Garner, Michael Infante, Shirley Friedlander, Stephen Rose, Robert Weiner, Dr. Sam Friedman, Jen Jones, Paula Friedman, Richard Sabin, Jocelyn Jackson, Samarina Ranika, Yuri Hayun, Etta Rosen, Mary Medvisky, Nick Bod, Tiva Noshaba, Murray Cameraman, Flora Hans, Rick Florino, Nigel Weston, and those who were injured or hurt in the recent storms that came all too close to us, and anyone else who's been injured in a storm or through violence. Anyone like to add a name, please do so. In their names, then Cody will lead us in the Misha Berach, page 371.
Bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishepera imotenu, mekor habracha, lavotenu, bless the
move ahead. Remember those who've died in years past. I read on page 595. There are stars up above, so far away, you only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we've loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. And today we remember the recent passing of Gilbert Kaysen, father of Mark Kaysen, grandfather of Drew. Norma Trackman,